Next stop, Chicago Junction.
Yes, it is time for Chicago Junction, the first program for the year 2022. We'll take you through the wonderful world of trains with the help of our panel. I am your announcer, Brian Valou, and here is our boss, the head of the Windy City Hometown Entertainment Network and Chief Electrical Engineer, Mr. John DeVita.
Well, thank you very much, Brian, and welcome. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to our first show for the year 2022 on the Windy City Hometown Entertainment Network and the John DeVita Broadcast Center. Today, the panel will be talking about railroads and model railroads. And on Wednesday, January the 12th, the year 2022. And now, here is our host and our announcer, Mr. Brian Blue.
Thank you, John. Yeah, as I said, I'm your announcer. I'm also one of the panel. I am a rail fan. I belong I like working on the real ones whenever I can get around them. And we are, I do Operation Lifesaver, which is funny. Operation Lifesaver is celebrating its 50th anniversary this year, when they first started in 1972. Wow. I play in garden railroads. I play in O-gauge. I collect all size different engines if it suits me. And I got Z to G. Or at least a couple standard too. To my left, I have Doug Kenyuk.
Yes, this is Doug Kenyuk, longtime rail fan, N-scaler, adjunct professor at Wright College, and officer in the Railroad and Short Lines Club of Chicago. We have a in-person meeting this Friday, this Friday. So, it's one of these Fridays coming up. And we also have the following week, I think it's the Wednesday after the meeting, a Zoom meeting with a presentation about Metra from a guy named Dan Phillips. So that's what's going on, and I'm going to pass it to the guy to my left.
Hello, everybody. Good evening. My name is Mikey, GST. This is my first time with you gentlemen. This is a very, very wonderful evening to meet all you guys here. I've always been a railroad enthusiast since I was a lad, and I've collected, just like Mr. Bloom had mentioned, O scales, and I graduated to G scale. That is by far my most prized scale. Or celebrated scale. I've always loved G scale. The bigger the better with me. I am also a Titanic historian as well, and a paranormal enthusiast. I was here last week on Bob's show, Bob Trezik's show, and we had a wonderful time discussing everything in the paranormal. Titanic. I'm also an airliner enthusiast as well too. My father worked at the airport, O'Hare Airport. He was also with the police department as well. And it kind of rubbed off on me. I kind of followed in his footsteps. And I'm almost nearing 40 myself. And I still got a lot to learn. But I always want to have that tradition behind me of knowing a lot of things, in the railroad department all the way down to the Olympic class liners with Titanic. It's always been a fascination with me, and glad to be here with y'all. It's a very nice evening, and I'm here to sit back and relax and just listen to all of you guys, the professionals in the field, and to get an overall perspective on how you guys run things and how everything is done. I've known. Yeah.
He don't know us very well.
Well, no, he don't know us very well. Professional.
Well, I must say that I've known two remarkable gentlemen in this field, in the railroad industry. His name is Mr. Bob Gilbert. Mr. Bob Gilbert and Mr. Dennis Sipchich. I believe that's how you pronounce his name there.
Yes.
Yes. I've oh my goodness, a lady friend who
Do we
whom
have
I
to
know.
go there?
Oh, what happened? Oh,
It was the name you said.
Dennis,
Dennis.
is in a club.
seriously?
Yes.
Oh,
Yes, he's more into the other clubs than he is with ours.
Lionel and LGB, I think it
Yeah,
was.
he's with
there.
LGB.
Well, he's with the
Yeah.
LGB club. We're the Chicago Area Garden
Garden
Railway
Railways.
Yeah.
Society.
Oh my goodness.
Kegers.
That's nice. Well, one of my lady friends she had actually introduced me to Mr. Sipchich, his YouTube webpage there and his YouTube site, and once she showed me this, it was his layout in his backyard area there.
You would not want to learn from him for his layout. You want to go to somebody that, I hate to interrupt you, but I gotta weigh my words. He knows what he's talking about and everything, but he's at an upper level of Garden Railroad than the rest of us are,
I see.
if you know what I mean. And when you're into Garden Railroad for the first time and you see something what he has, it's like, I can't afford all this.
Oh, yeah.
That's just, it's just not me, but there's other in our club that have mentioned that. It's just, it's way beyond words. He has a nice layout. I've been there a number of times.
Wow.
And when he had the first part and when the second half was being built and just the way he talks about the layout, I have to bite my tongue.
It's quite a feat. Anybody who's, designing their own layout, it's pretty amazing. I don't know how you guys do it. When I get some room, if I get another house, I really want to go out and go all out and design something of my own.
Well, that's no problem. We could talk about this as the program goes on,
Yeah.
and we'll finish our introductions. But welcome aboard,
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much.
and we hope
Thank
you
you.
do keep coming back with us.
Yes.
Thank you.
I
Despite
do.
what we do to you.
I've come back a number of times.
Hi, I'm Kevin. I'm a foamer. My name is Kevin Berry. I'm a retired Chicago police sergeant. I am a director with the Chicagoland Lionel Railroad Club, lifelong Lionel collector and operator. Really enjoy not only running trains, but helping out creating scenes at the train layout, putting little details in there. Went so far as to have my son, who has his own 3D printer, print out an O-scale Grinch. And Grinch is standing at the train station waiting for the commuter to come take him to Whoville. I'm responsible for the club having a in-scale operating drive-in movie theater, and if you look up at the top of the mountain as you walk in, you will see a 40-foot steel L-beam U.S. Forestry Service Fire Watch Tower that was built from archived Forestry Service plans, and at the base of the tower you will see a almost 3-inch tall standing Smokey the Bear, complete with shovel and Smokey the Bear hat. One of our members said, "This isn't a scale railroad, it's a fantasy railroad." And every scale foot might not be perfectly matched to the scale foot next to it, but when you only have 3,600 square feet, you got to make every inch count. And now I will pass the mic to the gentleman to my left.
Hi, I'm Ron Messner, and I'm a garden railroader. And at the moment, my track is under snow, and it's disassembled till spring comes, and then I'm going to put it all back together. And I have a comment to make, and you're not going to like this.
Speak your mind.
Oh, I'll speak my mind. Are we ready for this? I like your Woody.
Let me have a water.
24/7, my man.
For an old man, you got a nice Woody.
It was this.
Ba-dum-bum.
It was this dark metallic blue or gloss black, and the dark metallic blue did the trick.
There's a joke behind all this. So
Yeah, I've seen the T-shirt.
No, it's not.
No.
No. A couple years ago, I had an open house, and my friends, who I love dearly, and one of the ladies stepped over the track and was looking at my layout. And underneath my deck, I created Southport Avenue with a trolley and she's looking around, and she very nicely says to me, "Ron, I like your Woody." And the three gentlemen that were on the patio did everything from not saying, but they just laughed out loud. So that's the joke.
An old wood-sided trolley.
Right. Well, no, it was a car.
It was that car.
Oh, cool.
So now I got...
Well, then apparently I have good taste in
Yes, you have...
accent
you
pieces.
Yes, you have good taste. I just couldn't help. We have a lot of fun in our club. We have a lot of fun.
I've had this thing probably since 11:30 this morning, and I just noticed it has the correct set of taillights on it. It has the can taillights that a 49 Woody would have had. But Brian, you've seen the cars at the drive-in. I've been very fortunate to get some nice cars.
Yes. And I'm
Must have
trying
spent a
to
lot
get
of
you a
time.
plaque that's appropriate for Grover's Mill. No, there is a display.
I'll take a photocopy of it and try to reduce it down to size and still make it readable.
Well, what it is, I wrote this, found out they do have a shop that they open at that certain time of year, and they do have replicas of the monument that they have set up out there for the invasion that never happened. And figured it would look nice.
What Brian is referring to is, besides loving Lionel trains, I'm a great fan of science fiction. Classic, some of the modern stuff, almost none of the remakes, and a lot of the new in-print science fiction. But the drive-in has a banner above it made out of three-quarter or 1 inch tall white plastic letters off of a letterboard that says Grover's Mill Drive-In. And for those of you who remember the October 30th, 1938 Mercury Theater of the Air presentation of War of the Worlds, or like me, are familiar with it from the original War of the Worlds with Gene Barry, no relation. That's what it's named for, and it's a big conversation point with people that are over 35 that come in to see the layout. I've gone so far as to bring in a 1/48 scale, correctly painted Martian war machine and park it on top of the entry gate so that the invaders are watching the screen while the movie's being shown. But, you know, come out to the Chicagoland Lionel Railroad Club. We're out in New Lenox. You can just Google Chicagoland Lionel Railroad Club. We have our own webpage. It'll even assist you with driving directions. We've had people come down from Wisconsin and in from Iowa, up from St. Louis. Did have one couple come in from Effingham, which is about as far south as you can get in Illinois, if you don't count Cairo. You know, come in and see it.
That's nice. That's really nice.
And Brian is a member, and he's run some beautiful equipment on our layout. And it's nice to run with a railway historian that can give you the backstory on the equipment you're running.
Thank you.
It's easy to speak the truth.
Yes, it is.
And it's more fun than lying. Well, sometimes.
You can fib a little bit.
Anyway.
You ever tried to
Got some
outlie
good-
a sailor?
I have a joke, but we'll save it for the end.
Yeah, I got a few news since the last time I was here.
That's a long time ago.
Yeah. I arrange it so my classes this next semester are midday, so I don't have to fool around at night with them. Anyway, item number 1. The Montana Rail Link is going away. BNSF is taking back their lease while they're terminating their lease with the BNSF. And it sort of made sense because over the last couple of years, the BN and BNSF has been routing more and more trains over their tracks, using it as a second main line. So it just was a matter of time to when Montana Rail Link would go away.
No, I thought it was just part of the trackage.
They're taking over the whole railroad.
They're doing the whole one then.
The whole thing's going away.
Are they buying the equipment, or are they going to...
Doesn't say. It just says the letter from the management said effectively nobody's losing their job. So my guess is, yeah, the equipment's probably going to be bought by the BN. So it just says that they're going to maintain their usual service. There's no terminations. Everybody's going to be working for the BNSF. So it was coming. It was a matter of time. South Shore and the Northern Indiana Commuter Transportation District and the Northern Indiana Public Service Company have finally signed the contracts to add the 17 miles of double track to enhance the commuter service and freight service. They expect the work to be done by April of 2024. I was out there 2 months ago, and most of the property on the west side of 10th was already purchased and torn down. It's all empty along there. So the project is happening. So the next step is they also supposedly haven't been able to check on this. They started their southward extension that runs along the Illinois-Indiana border.
Ah, okay.
They said they started. So I have to go out and take a look once the snow is gone. Here's one that'll make you happy, Brian. Norfolk Southern and the Ludlow Heritage Museum have signed a property lease to preserve NS's own Ludlow Yard Storehouse building in Kentucky. Agreement allows the museum officials to renovate the building and repurpose it into its new headquarters. The building is historically significant because it's the last remaining original structure in Ludlow used by the Cincinnati, New Orleans, and Texas Pacific Railroad, which became part of Southern, then later Norfolk Southern. Located at the intersection of Oak and Cardinal Street, storehouse was built in the late 1880s, 3,600 square foot, round arched brick and stone building. And it was used as a supply shop to store rail parts. So that's kind of nice. You know, the Norfolk Southern's not going to tear it down.
Yeah. Actually save it.
Yeah. Norfolk Southern hits again. They're getting a couple of $1 million from the state of Illinois to build some overpasses in Decatur so they could route their trains through without blocking traffic. So their trains, the overpasses are going to go over a couple of highways and the former Illinois Central Railroad tracks. So this is the total cost of the project is $62 million. Illinois is coughing up 18 of it, and the rest is coming from various sources. So that's kind of nice. It said, since 1990, 17 train vehicle collections have occurred at the endless crossings. So that's why they're doing this. Only 17. They're not trying hard enough.
Yeah, really?
That's surprisingly, that's only one every other year.
Yeah, we have more than that in a lot of places.
We got more than that in Chicago on an average year.
So,
At least they're doing something.
yeah, that's true. All right. Amtrak says no new construction efforts will take some time, so nothing until 2023. They just got $22 billion in federal money, but they can't figure out where to spend it, so they're going to wait until it's going to take them 18 months before any significant work begins. So
What?
Right now they're focused on increasing ridership.
You mean they can hold that money that long?
Yep.
Really?
They looking for $117 billion to fix the tunnels under the East River.
Well, I think they finally got the plans are going through getting approved again, so they can get the funding.
So, and then here's one. This was actually an opinion piece, but it was kind of funny to read. Impossible line is just too impossible. And this talks about that rail line that runs from San Diego to El Centro, Mexico, back into Texas. This is the Baja line. The road was called impossible because it's broken into 4 segments. The main line, the La Mesa branch, the Coronado branch, and the Desert line. Then there are the incidents that come up that happened, like in 1976, the Hurricane Kathleen ate up the bridges and major sections of the Desert Line. In January 1980, washouts by desert storms drowned most of the rail sections. On June 18th of the same year, fire destroyed 2 bridges of the Desert Line. In the year early 2000, 2 tunnels collapsed and needed to be repaired, including the Grand Goat Trestle. On Christmas Day 2009, fire burned another tunnel. In February 2017, boulders closed another tunnel. With all this damage, one needs to know why this 146-mile cut is called the Impossible Line. But fires, boulders, and washouts did not play a leading role in the title. The geometry, mainly in Mexico, was something extreme and complicated, leading engineers to name it that. The Carrizo Gorge portion of the track alone required 13 trestles, 17 tunnels over 11 miles. The last time crater might have been blown out was in summer of 2020 when the Baja California Railroad stopped making lease payments to San Diego Metropolitan Transit System for the line. So that's just a little interesting thing about that particular piece of track.
That track is, the Impossible Railway, the San Diego and Arizona Railroad.
That's it.
Celebrated its 100th anniversary. On that line, yes, it's owned by the transit system in San Diego. Also is run by the Pacific Southwest Railway Museum, who has their museum in Campo. He used to run trains to Tecate.
Okay.
We're 5 miles from the tunnel that goes into Mexico.
Okay, are they on the east side? The museum? That the one that's by the New Mexico border?
Yeah.
Okay.
No, well, it would be close to New
Because
Mexico.
some of the track is in operation. It's just not
Yeah.
all the way through. And
Yeah,
that's what
well-
they're talking about,
well,
trying
see-
to reactivate it as a second line to haul freight.
What has been going on, there have been, if you look on YouTube, they're doing several speeder trips on the desert, starting in Plaster City. And they've been going up there, and that's where the fires have been started in the tunnels and such. I mean, the Goat Canyon, why anybody wants to destroy it. The trestles have not burned. People are setting fires on their own. They're hiking in and doing it.
Hey, isn't that like all desert? I mean, there's like...
No, you're actually in a nice canyon.
Oh, okay.
You finally get down into the desert where the majority of the line is going in, and you actually come in, let's see, you go to Imperial, is where the track ends up.
Okay.
And it connects with the Southern Pacific line that went up north along the Salton Sea. And also where Kaiser Steel had come in, where for their ore trains and everything. And then the line goes down, like they say, to Mexicali at the border, because we used to take the rail line down to Puerto Penasco. We used to run trips with the museum, and we'd run down. A bus would take them down to the Calexico. They go through the gate to be in Mexicali, and we back the train up to the gate, and then we go down and drop people off. You can buy 10 pounds of shrimp for $3. It was wonderful. And then we would go down and spend the night, 2 nights down there, because we had to set up the train, and then we cleaned the train. And they always had a few partiers that invited us along. They needed entertainment, so we gave it to them. But it was fun.
Good. Well, anyway, that's the story. It was an editorial piece talking about it. Then there was an article, forget which journalist came out of it, said, first thing we do is automate all the trains. And the guy, first 2 paragraphs are basically people more worried about their $9,000 Chanel purse than they are about railroads. But he says that the outsider's perception to the change in North American rail, which is a bit of an anomaly, change is a slow word. So when Wall Street Journal publishers claptrap about on its website on such as how to move more goods, robot trains, one wonders why perceptions around North American rail are so disconnected. The notion that productivity and safety improvements are easy as replacing locomotive engineers with autonomous technology is really ludicrous.
Ludicrous?
Yeah, ludicrous. I'm having trouble getting the words out. To the casual observer, it suggests that autonomous reorientation of rail traffic is as easy as ordering a Tesla. Wrapped in the journal's masthead, it becomes business. It isn't about 1,001 words into the article before, oops, most autonomous trains are built on new and dedicated tracks they do not have to share with other human-controlled trains. The guy goes, come again, and makes building tracks sound like rolling out a mat in the garage to cover a leaky oil pan. In any case, such autonomous trains are automated rail transit, not freight. One would think that the journal editors couldn't possibly be that dumb. Think again. This is not to say that autonomy in North American freight rail will never happen. The building blocks of autonomy has started with PTC, or as reported by Railway Age, PTC 2.0, roughly a year ago. BNSF received a patent for a virtual track block system that would effectively create moving block train control, mitigating to a technology-based, vehicle-centric virtual system that eliminates traditional fixed blocks, will allow for closer train spacing, increased productivity, and safer operations. It could eliminate the wayside signals, decreasing maintenance costs. In other words, BNSF has positioned itself to be the purveyor of the next-gen traffic management tech. The application of virtual block system is a plan for the future. Frankly, at today's loading levels, it is unnecessary, since the fixed block system we have continues to operate at a much less than maximum capacity. I just found the article funny.
It sounds like an editor gave a reporter an assignment. Give me 750 words on this, and the guy pulled them out of some dark, mysterious place.
And he didn't know what he was talking about.
Well, that's usually where you go when you need material from a dark, mysterious place.
So the next one I have is China aims to launch 600-kilometer per hour maglev and vacuum tube trains. So they're planning to introduce high-speed maglev capable of operating up to 600 kilometers per hour and high-speed trains in vacuum tubes. The National Railway unveiled this proposal under a 5-year plan for railway science and innovation. Now, it's not built yet, but they've been testing like crazy. They also have all the money right now to do it. And the political ramifications of this, though, are the same thing that happened back in the 60s when we were able to put a man on the moon, and we would go to another country and say, look, our system works. We put a guy on the moon. Today, China, through its Belt and Rail program, says, look, we have these high-speed trains. You could have them in your country, too. Nobody else can do it. And that's been the problem. And a lot of countries were blackmailed by that program. They brought China in. China built them a rail line, built them a couple of highways. And then when they couldn't make their first or second payment on the loan that they got from China, China says, yeah, we'll forgive part of that loan, but we want a military base in your country. And some of the countries now are all of a sudden, wait a minute, this is not going to work.
You know, that better be real straight and real level, because 600 kilometers an hour is 372 real miles an hour. You know.
Well, we'll see what happens. I mean, the Japanese have been experimenting with this for a long time.
Oh, you're talking with maglev.
Yeah. So and there's maglevs already in operation, but they're all not fast. 80 miles an hour top speed.
No, I mean we had the speed record for a while before France and Japan started into the race. When we were running it out in Pueblo, we had a maglev line out there.
Yep. But there's no money being put into it, and when it comes down to push comes to shove, everybody chooses the two rail systems because a lot of the transit companies were looking at maglevs and other forms, and at the last minute went back to two rail because, I've heard this many a times from many people, well, it's proven technology. Why should we change?
Well, see, that's just it. And then you have people like,
if it ain't broken, don't fix it.
Yeah, exactly.
California. And Florida, you have people there, and thankfully Brightline's been telling them they can sit and spin, and but here they are building a dedicated line for it, and then people are complaining, well, why can't the other trains use it? And they're going, we don't need more track. It's going to destroy the line. Let's see, you have it elevated. How is it going to affect the environment? Well, all the smoke. It's an electric train.
Well, California's got one severe problem out there. The whole state is a bunch of NIMBYs.
Yeah.
So that was the first problem. I didn't bring the articles with because I'm so tired of reading about their fiasco out there, but the governor just authorized another $78 million, and they're reorganizing the project for the umpteenth number of times. Starting the new project's supposed to go into effect March 1st.
Oh, God.
So they're reorganizing it again.
Yeah, see, it's
So now the projection says 2035 or 2040, maybe. I'm like, can't take that long. Brightline is going to be up and running in another 6 months.
Well, yeah, all the way to Orlando.
Yeah.
In fact, their first train set was delivered.
Yep. Saw that on virtual rail.
Yeah, and that's the one to go to Orlando.
Yep.
But
the second day the California system is operational, it'll be shut down because some homeless person put their tent up on the track.
Yeah.
Well, he's going to have to climb, I'll tell you that.
He won't mind. He won't mind at all. Train will come by. He won't have a problem in the world.
You said it.
So anyway, moving on. Caterpillar has teamed up with a company called MOU for hydrogen locomotive demonstration. And again, this is with the BNSF, along with Chevron USA and Caterpillar and MOU are going to put together a hydrogen-fueled locomotive prototype demo, be out on the rails next year on the BNSF. Okay,
Well, they're saying that there's a couple.
so we'll see how
One's
that
doing
goes.
hydrogen power, and
And Progressive Rail's doing
But
one
there's
with
two
hydrogen fuel cells.
yeah, with the fuel cells, and they got one's going to be with water.
So that's the hydrogen fuel cell ones, I think, because this is hydrogen,
They're
liquid
going
hydrogen.
They're going to have to do that. Nevada, Arizona, California, someplace where it's warm. That ain't going to work in the Midwest. They're going to be like all the school bus companies with their new hydrogen-powered, hydrogen-fueled school buses that wouldn't start in the cold weather if you stuck a stick of dynamite underneath them.
They had the drivers underneath with the cigarette lighters trying to get it going.
Yeah, this is going to be Russia, winter of '43 all over again.
Now, here's something I think you'll find interesting. A company called Bemis is developing a digital automatic coupler. Now, this is being done in Germany. And the idea behind this automatic coupler is it couples, it'll hook up the air hoses, and it'll send digital signals back to the engine.
Technically, we have that.
I know we have that, but this one is supposed to be eliminate any humans involved in coupling. Now, you got to understand, we're talking Europe. Half of Europe's used the couplers we use, but that's on the passenger side. On the freight side, a lot of the trains are still
Still
using
hook and
link.
loop.
Yes. So you can see why this would be a big excitement to them.
Yes.
I know. A friend of mine was I go out to Google Street View, go look at a train in Europe, and look at a freight car, and look at the side, and tell me what you see. Do you see the coupler, or do you see a chain and link? He goes, there's a chain and link there. I go, yeah, half the cars out there are still using. They got a guy. He has the big pole with the hook on it, and he hooks the cars.
Vacuum brakes.
Yeah. So I can see why this is a big deal.
What happens when one of these airlines is a half an inch off center from where it's supposed to be?
That's where the digital part comes in. It's supposed to align itself.
Sensors?
No. We have a coupler like that in
You're
this
shaking
country,
your head over there.
and it's also like that actually in England.
Get over it.
No.
Look at any subway car.
Yep. Yeah, that's all digital. Well,
That is
digital mechanical.
right. But your airlines are all set and
Yep.
connect. You have your electrical connections. See, we already have it, but
This is Europe.
for them. But see the cost.
Somebody
That we're
thinks it's
looking
a
at.
new idea. That's what it is.
Well, yeah, but the thing is, now what's going to be the cost? How many freight cars do you have?
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Just go up
Well,
on
no,
the
but most of the railroads are run by the government, so cost means nothing.
Yeah.
go by the airport and see the trains, how long they
Anyway,
are.
I'll wrap this up with, we have a new short line in the area.
Ooh.
It's got a nice name. You know what the name of it is? 325 South, Route 31 Railroad. It's some company took over the Caterpillar plant down in Kendall County. That's been closed since 2007, and this is the railroad that's going to serve that complex, because the complex is going to be turned into an industrial warehouse site for transloading.
They're
and
going to
stuff.
have one track mobile, and they're going to be a big time railroad.
Yep. So, I just like the name though. It was 325 South, Route 31.
That is neat.
And then I don't know if you guys watch on YouTube occasionally, but there's a series called East Terminal Railway. You have to look it up. This guy went out and bought basically a long spur, and he's got a little switcher, and he's been clearing it the hard way by hand with his son and a buzzsaw. And they are thinking about becoming a real railroad now. They haven't filed anything yet with the STB, so he's out there clearing the railroad, and he's trying to convince the owners of the closed buildings to turn those into warehouses so he could switch cars. But he's going through this. Well, we're opening up. He opens up like 100 feet at a time, basically. It's about a half mile long. It's just interesting to watch. That's all.
Yeah, no. See that's what you call. It's just like what they did with the Strasbourg Railroad.
Yep.
and it was overgrown and everything, but it was still chartered. They bought what was left of all the stocks and bonds, and look at what they've become.
And now they just recently sold out to somebody called SRC, took them over.
What, the freight portion?
Both. It's now there's a company called SRC that owns it, and they turn around and they're leasing the stuff back to the Strasburg Freight and the passenger operations. Yeah, they just did this about 4 months ago. That's on the STB filings. Refunding or something. And finally, end up a little Metro news. The Grayland station by us, the construction is moving along. They got Milwaukee Avenue partially closed because they're putting in the flyby, the fly around or whatever they call it. Flyover next to the track. So they're putting in the trestle now on the street. So they got the street closed to do that. So they're still working on that part of it.
Oh.
And the new station, they moved the station to the Addison side, not to the Milwaukee side for the obvious reasons.
Mm-hmm.
So the new station is in place. The temporary station's in place. And it actually looks better than the original station was. They actually did a good job using nice wood and everything.
Especially the stairs on the Addison side that go up. It's like...
Yeah, it's nice.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah.
That's very nice.
Stairway to Heaven?
Almost, yeah.
So so I'm gonna probably go over there this weekend and see how much progress they've done in the last 2 weeks. So that's what I have.
I guess I'm going to have to come and visit you now.
It'd be nice.
Okay.
And he promises not to call anybody either.
Well, didn't they have a proposed construction deal with from downtown Central Station, going all the way out to O'Hare Airport? They had the regular Chicago, the L train going all the way down there. Is it going to be redesigned? Is there going to be new trains involved? Is it going to still be electric? Or I know the whole Kennedy Express. What was it? I think that's I-90. I think it was. I don't know.
Are you talking about the tunneling project?
Elon Musk's tunnel? Is that what you're talking about?
It's in Chicago. Oh, he's got something going in Chicago, or
yeah, he's supposed to have something from downtown to the airport.
Yeah.
Oh,
with his tunnel cars.
That's probably it then. Yeah, I heard something. Well, I didn't.
I haven't heard anything more about that.
No, that's sort of.
And then there was another that they were going to bring a train from a different direction to the airport.
Wow.
Elon Musk demonstrated the one out in Los Angeles, but haven't heard a thing about the Chicago one.
Nope. It was done under Mayor Rahm, too, so it's...
Yeah, well...
He's no longer in office, so it's a dead project.
He's in China, or in Japan.
Yeah. 2 nights ago on the news, Monday night, probably the strangest grade crossing accident in recorded history. Happened in California. Pilot took off from the local airport, lost engine power before he got to cruising altitude, had to make an emergency landing, had the presence of mind and enough control over the airplane that he thought landing on the railroad tracks was the right thing to do, which he did. He got banged up pretty severely. One of the luckiest people to ever draw breath. There happened to be 2 officers. I don't know if they were riding together or they were, just coming back from a call. They saw the plane crash. They dragged him out of the airplane. And about 3 seconds later, it got hit by an Amtrak train.
I thought that was a commuter train.
No, the paint job on it looked like the Surfliner.
Could be. It was passenger.
It was in Pacoima. And I, once you get past fruit and nuts, I don't know a thing about California. But it made the national news. and I would love to read that incident report.
Very
Dispatch.
interesting. Very interesting.
Dispatch? Yeah, we just hit a plane.
At any rate, very, very, very lucky man. One of my fellow retirees sent me a shot from one of the cameras. Brian? Are you gonna talk about the upgrades on the big boy, or do you want me to cover it?
Go for it.
Okay. Trains e-letter. It comes out, I think, twice a month, but they've made 5 upgrades on the big boy since it was out last. And shame on me, I was up in West Chicago and I didn't notice that the big boy did not have a builder's plate on the side of the nose. But they got a hold of a new builder's plate, and they mounted it slightly below and slightly to the rear of where the original one was mounted, and they left the bolt holes from the original to be seen.
Smoke box.
Okay. Positive train control was installed. The big boy chalk writing, I think they painted it on this time, so it won't come off. What they said was, incidentally, the chalked big boy on the smoke box front is hand refreshed from time to time, most often after the engine has been through a good soaking rain. Each of those signatures are unique, so maybe it is chalk. They put silvered washout plug covers on the jacketing. They're made from stainless steel dog water bowls whose bottoms have been removed. And the cylinder head and piston head covers, they're chromed on the second engine, and they've also been machined so they don't interfere with the brake hangers. It's a massive engine. It's a beautiful engine. There is talk that it is supposed to be coming out. There was talk that it was supposed to be coming out again in 2022 for some more runs. I haven't seen anything on that. There was also talk a couple of months ago that Canadian National was going to bring... No. CP was going to bring the Empress out for some runarounds, possibly fan excursions. We'll have to see if that comes to pass. Fan excursions are really becoming harder and harder to find, and they're almost at the point that if you don't jump on it the minute you hear about it, they're gone before you get a chance to. Menards is making moves like they're going to try to become a major player in the hobby with O-Gauge. They released a 300-unit block of a War of the World diorama with the tank from their armored transport car. And when you push the button, the tank goes up the hill.
Well, yeah, because they got the claw pulling it from the flying saucer.
And they highlighted it with a couple of pallets of shells and a couple of revetments, 300 units. So it's going to be like their first go at the F unit. They offered the F unit again, Beta 3.0, again 300 units, and they were literally gone in less than 8 hours. I saw it, and I had a fall on your sword if you don't accomplish it mission from my wife, and by the time I got back to the computer, they were sold out. Wow. But when you put it up and there's only 300 units, and it's online only, you gotta move. If I had gone after it at 6:30 in the morning, it may have already been gone. And it's one of those deals where they sell it to you, and there's a fish hook that comes with it. They expect you to run it and then critique it for them. Their first go got a very favorable write-up in Classic Toy Trains. And when you can get power for $163, it's very hard to say no to. And Trains came up with another article, and I'm going to let you look it up at trains.com. Top preserved diesel locomotives we're glad were saved. And there's some very nice units. There's a 40-tonner, a 44-tonner. The 40-tonner is what people refer to as a dinky. It was designed to keep the union happy. One piece of equipment, one operator. There's GP7, an FT, a whole bunch of. And the nice part about the article is it tells you what museum or museums they're at. So if if things get civilized when the warm weather gets here, you can go take a look at them.
That's nice. That's really nice.
Well, if you want the FT, go to St. Louis. It's the part of the first demo.
The one they show is at the North Carolina Transportation Museum in Spencer, North Carolina. And there was another
FT?
That's what it says, EMDFT.
What railroad?
This one's in EMD markings, but it lists Southern, Atlantic Coastline, B&O, Boston and Maine, Chicago and Northwestern, Burlington, Milwaukee Road, Rock Island, Lackawanna, Rio Grande, Erie, Great Northern, Lehigh Valley, Minneapolis and St. Louis, Missouri Pacific, New York Central, New York, Ontario and Western, Northern Pacific, Reading, Cotton Belt, Southern, and Western Pacific as all having them at one time.
I didn't know Reading had them. I know Reading had them.
Maybe I mispronounced the word. Reading. Is that
Yes.
Reading?
That's Reading. Take a ride on the Reading.
I'm sorry. I led a deprived childhood. I grew up in Chicago. I didn't learn how to speak English.
Blame everything on Chicago.
Chicago, you don't know how to talk. You got to go to Hoboken. Say, you go up.
And you don't know how to talk either, so what's the problem?
You go to the ferry. You take the ferry over to Brooklyn. You have Brooklyn, you get cat or free car. You come back.
The hobo from Hoboken.
Oh, should have never said that.
Oh, geez, our favorite show's going to be back on TV.
Yeah, I saw the commercial.
yeah.
for
Yeah,
it.
the Snowpiercer
Versus.
is coming back for
man.
a third season.
And I know people who think that's the greatest show ever.
Yes, and what else is funny? is the fact they're finally talking about the weather warming up outside.
Brian, you knew that gentleman. Why don't you do that one?
Oh.
Okay, I'm being told that I brought two things in to show tonight. One we talked about a little earlier, the '49 Ford Woody. The other is my eldest daughter gave me the Star Trek Tribble Transport car for Christmas, and it's cute. It's the Tribbles aren't as furry as they were on TV, but you know, they took time to carve them. Somebody asked if they just thrown a bunch of jelly beans in and spray painted them. It's not what they did.
They would have been better off. They would have been better off using sponge.
You know, it's not a car I normally would have gotten. Now I suppose I'm going to have to get the Romulan ale car to go with it. But it's a nice car.
That's nice. That's cool.
Okay, Brian, you're up.
Well, he gave me half a message here, and I'll see what I can do with it.
Well, you know
You cut off.
that's the way it came out. You know the gentleman's name, and you know where it's from.
Siegfried Berling. He was the founder of the Cuyahoga Valley Scenic Railway. A very nice guy, giving guy, answered questions. And for those who knew him, he was also a very tenacious, hard-working man. While you might have not known Siegfried, the Cuyahoga Valley certainly would acknowledge everything that he did for him. He was an immigrant from Germany whenever he landed. He went into making cabinets for a living. He was a cabinet maker, which was his trade. He was the director of the Hale Farm and Village, and he ended up going there from the Cleveland Zoo to Hale Farm. It was transporting people from Cleveland to the Scenic Valley when the Cuyahoga Scenic Valley was born. He lived a beautiful life, and he continued to live on here at the railroad. He will certainly be missed. I had the pleasure of meeting him a couple times. But steam news. All right, we want steam news. That's some good stuff. The 2022 Sugarland Express is going to happen from the American Association of Private Car Rail Owners. And they're planning to excursion rare mileage around South Central Florida Express Railroad, behind the Sugarland Express 462 steam locomotive number 148. That was the one that they had just rebuilt. It was former Florida East Coast passenger engine. There were several of them that were running around the country. One was owned by Freeman Hubbard, who had run Railroad Magazine. And I remember seeing one of them running up in Jersey. Private cars will gather in Miami no later than April 22nd, 2022. On April 23rd, an Amtrak special will run to Sebring, Florida, interchange with the South Central Florida Express Railroad. When the American Association will operate 4 days touring the majority of the railroad behind steam with off-train activities. Afterwards, another special will return to Miami on April 27th, where private cars can depart on the regularly scheduled Amtrak trains. The association is planning to have the Sugar Railroad Express covering the entire line for several days. A side trip to an online sugar mill is also planned. This railroad operates on the west side of Sebring to Lake Harbor on the former Atlantic Coastline Railroad. Passenger service to Cluson ended in the 50s. East side of the railroad from Lake Harbor to Fort Pierce is Fort Harbor, Florida, East Coast K branch. Passenger service here ended in 1948. Number 148 excursions will only operate on the South Central Express Railroad. U.S. Sugar rail lines are not part of this excursion. For more details, you can go to www.aaprco.com. Travel opportunities and AAPRCO 2021 Sugarland Express. Note this trip was originally scheduled for October 2021, but has been moved to April 23rd to the 27th. Let's break open our piggy banks, boys.
Yeah,
If you want to ride some beautiful cars.
that's awesome.
East Broad Top update. The misbegotten and almost forgotten narrow gauge railroad that's older than the Denver Rio Grande Western, the East Broad Top, has been awarded a $1.1 million state grant to rebuild 7.8 miles of track between the railroad, the company's headquarters in Rock Hill Furnace, and the towns of Three Springs and Saltillo. The grant award is the first step toward reopening the historic narrow gauge railroad's long disused main line south to the semi-bituminous coal fields that once supplied the majority of the railroad's traffic. That part of the EBT's one-time 33-mile main line had been disused, not abandoned, since the road shut down common carrier operations in 1956. EBT will use the money to restore track, bridges, Saltillo, and including the 275-foot long Prague Bridge. The grant will also be used to acquire property for and make improvements at Cottage Grove, purchase track maintenance equipment, improve water supply for a planned fire suppression system in the Rock Hill Forest shops and roundhouse. Repair the Rock Hill Iron and Coal Company office building. In other news, General Manager Brad Esposito gave the following steam restoration update. Locomotive 16, the front tube sheet has been renewed. Tubes and flues are on hand for installation and probably being handled at this time. The locomotive will require calculations for Federal Form 4 certification, which is underway. Locomotive number 14, this locomotive has cracked drivers, which will require newly fabricated replacements. They do have the molds for the wheels, for the centers, if you will. And, okay, it may be the next engine that returns to service after locomotives number 16 and 14. That'll be locomotive number 15. Locomotive 12, the smallest and oldest of the engines. It was extensive running during the tourist years, but a sentimental favorite of some of the restoration crew. Locomotive 17 and 18, the engines are tired because they were the last of the last engines used in the common carrier service when the railroad was hanging on month to month, anticipating abandonment. EBT beat the snot out of them, as I've said. I quote and unquote.
That's a technical term.
Yes. Western Maryland Scenic. For Christmas, there was a good party with a 2662 steam locomotive, number 1309. The last domestically built, finally finishing its tests, getting approval, the Federal Railroad Administration Service, and in the 11 months since the steam moved under its own power, the railroad has been hard at work and preparing the locomotive, and they've made several wonderful trips going up the Hempsteaders Curve and back down again. So 1309 is waiting for the summer. But I did wonderful Toys for Tots during the Christmas season. Let's see, who else is back in town? That's about all the good news.
Talk about the merger.
Huh?
Talk about the merger.
What merger? What do you mean? Which one?
CP. Talk about the list of complainers. Commenters, as the STB calls them.
Okay, we'll give it some good news first, though. Believe it or not, Amtrak and CP are collaborating for new service because of the said merger.
We fell into an alternate universe, or what?
Yes.
Wow.
Yes, I know. I looked at it and said, "You got to be kidding me." Maybe it is a good joke.
It's in big print. Can't you see it?
I love you too, Ron. I thank you.
That's interesting. That's after CP has been basically cutting their knees off all the time.
Yes. Amtrak has announced its support for the Canadian Pacific Railroad's proposed purchase of Kansas City Southern, a combination that would give the company control of 20,000 miles of rail. The buyout must be approved by the Surface Transportation Board, which imposed a freeze on mergers in the railroad industry 2 decades ago, before it can move forward. CP is the 6th largest railroad in the U.S. Kansas City Southern is the 7th largest. For its part, CP agreed to cooperate with Amtrak on its vision for major expansion. I can't read it.
They are on this list. I don't remember Amtrak is what their name they used, but they're on that list.
Yeah, I know.
Oh, they used their own name.
Specifically, CP owns the tracks used by Amtrak's Hiawatha line, which runs to Milwaukee to Chicago. Amtrak plans to increase the Hiawatha's frequency. Don't know where, since they've been shut out building the siding, passing siding.
Their official name is National Railroad Passenger Corporation. That's what
Yes.
it's listed under. Then they put Amtrak in quotes right after it.
The frequency extended service from Milwaukee to St. Paul. Now that actually would be a smart move.
That's been a wish list for quite a while.
Yeah. But it's,
Same taking a little turn and going to Madison, too.
yeah. CP also worked with Amtrak on adding service in 2 southern corridors which have been without trains for more than 50 years, like New Orleans to Baton Rouge, Dallas to Meridian, Mississippi.
That's a Y, but that's...
Oh, you mean Dallas to Meridian have been running?
Mhm.
With what, the Eagle?
Oh, okay. I mean, if they're just going to run between those 2 points, why?
No, well, apparently there's some people from Mississippi still come and visit and yes. Okay.
It's a sign on your back
I've been
that says
told-
harass me.
Yes, that's it. I have been asked to be quiet. We can let Ron and Mike take over the show.
Really?
Yes.
Well, first of all, Mike, for my comments earlier, that's my personal opinion, but I would like to welcome you, and if you have time at the end of the month to come and visit our club. Can I use the restaurant as a, or are we the plug?
Yeah.
Okay. We meet at the Great Escape.
Oh, the Great Escape. Gotcha.
And that. And you're welcome to come. And you can see how the rest of us crazy garden railroaders are.
Schiller Park? Yeah, Schiller
Yeah,
Park.
Schiller Park.
Yeah, the one with the windmill.
Yeah.
With
With
windmill in
the-
the parking lot.
Next to the fire station.
Yeah.
And that. And then if you decide to join, then you would, for your, as I say to people that are interested in the hobby, is to go to the layouts
Yeah.
and see each yard and the size and for what you would like to do.
Mm-hmm.
Because some people see something and then they kind of like, oh, I want that in my backyard. But
Yeah.
then when they go to their backyard, it's not feasible to do things. So, but we have a great time.
No Sears Tower for you.
But we have a great time, and
That's awesome.
we have a lot of fun. And we have some new people that are starting the hobby, and this individual is with some friends are going to help extend his railroad quite a bit. At least till he puts a stop on it. But it's something that I would, since you're interested in garden railing, there would be to go and talk to the person that built the railroad.
That's just mouth-watering.
I mean, that's my advice, and depending on, again, with different people that wanted to start the railroad.
Yeah.
I said nicely to some people that if you're really interested, start with a starter set. And even if you do get, the better track, well, the track is good in the starter sets. But then just lay it out in your backyard and start small. And then if something goes wrong, you haven't wasted a lot of money.
You're right.
I mean, this is just me talking, and because when you see all the expense that some of us have put into our railroads, it's like it blows your mind.
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know.
You know who that is, don't you?
Even like a
can't
small, I would say maybe like, maybe a quarter of an acre section or something like that. We're talking, maybe over $20,000 at times. I mean, if you have everything, if you have a G scale, that's under. Well, I have the Massoff actually. It's a DCC in that engine there. It's a BNSF ST70 Mac ACE. And like I was mentioning earlier, a gentleman named Bob Gilbert, I knew nothing about this until he told me about it. I actually went up there to Milwaukee. They had a very, very nice, actually my second time going to a train con, and it's amazing. And this is where I met these people in person. It's a beautiful thing. and he told me all about it. He says, Mikey, hey, would you like me to install that DCC system in there? And DCC system is, for folks who don't know, it's the track or the engine where it's kind of remote controlled in a way. Controls the smoke, the ditch lights. You can everything control the throttle positions, reversed and forward and so forth. And I says, yeah. I said, absolutely. So he, yeah.
So you're putting the cart before the horse.
Yeah.
For what?
You got a great Cadillac. Now you got to afford the wheels.
I got to afford the wheels. Yeah.
I mean, yeah, that's all well and good.
Yeah.
When you're a novice at all this, and it's just not laying the track and having some engines. It's the cosmetic.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
because when I laid all my track, and I was like a kid in a candy store, I was.
Yeah.
Say, oh, come and see my train lay. Oh, well, all it is track. Put a train down and it goes around 5 times. And okay, that's the until you.
Yeah.
And that. So I mean, you got to take baby steps to do what you want to do.
I only wanted to start, with one engine. I have several of those, at the house there. And when I get the chance, I just like, go in the backyard there, try to, look at some YouTube videos and some magazines and how everybody has theirs laid out there, and how when I get a bigger place of my own, how I want it in my backyard there. So yeah, it's good to dream big, but you really have to step back for a while and really look at the big picture and say, well, you can only work with so much money here and so much land. If this is going to be your hobby, you really got to, do some notes, some homework on it.
You got to remember one thing: it's a hobby. It's not a job.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, as far as putting the railroad together, and you got to step back and look at what you've done, because you're going to see something after you put something down, like, oh, I've got to move something over this way, or do I have enough curvage for the the train to go around?
Right.
And that's where you've got to really know your diameters of how you're going to do things. But I mean, my advice is, if you would join our club, the first year is go around to all the houses if you possibly can.
Wow.
Because, I mean, we have a lot of houses. And every house layout is different.
Yeah.
It's really, some of them are really amazing. You think, oh, boy, I did a great job. Yeah, well, I did a great job, yes. But, it's...
Yeah, I mean, I'm a modeler. I built model Titanic. I try to do some variations with her sisters, Olympic and Britannic, and they're all 1/350th scale models. And I'm like, trying to, do my best of, with so much money that I have here. I have cut little pieces there, improvise, and do little, cross sections here and there, and just to make it look authentic the way it's supposed to be, as best to my knowledge with what I'm working with, doing stuff what I have. It's not going to be perfect. That's why if I wanted something, extremely perfect, I myself, I don't think I could do it. I would have to maybe hire somebody to really help me out.
You can ask for help.
See, that's the one thing. He's right with the club. We have enough members. They don't know everything, but some of them know, they're very good at what they know.
Yeah.
And everybody meshes together.
And when you look at it, you could go back a half a dozen times and you're going to see something different, depending on whose layout it is. And then because of different things that they've used, it's not a perfect type of situation, because we use different size or scales of figures and depending on what we're trying to show, it doesn't, like someone will say, well, that don't match. Well, just because you know what it should be, you know, it's
you got to build it from scratch to make it look as much as authentic as possible. Like what I have over here, the SD70. It's made by USA Trains. I'm a huge USA and Aristocrat fan. Amazing.
You won't find any Aristocrat.
That I know. It's from your guy. What happened? I don't know what happened. Did they fold or?
Yeah, they folded
a couple of years ago.
More than they just, to some sense, I think with all of them, because of the way that things are being made and the way the project is, they priced themselves out of business.
Is it in Jersey or is that USA Trains? I get those mixed up.
No, Aristocrat was in Jersey. Polk's Hobbies.
Polk's, that's the one. Yeah.
Now, when the oldest brother died, not Nate, but Lou, he gave it up and gave it to his son.
Wow.
And his son burned it in the ground. Now, the control system that they have still exists.
Wow.
It's Digicom.
Yeah.
And that's the old Aristocrat engineer.
Wow. Any parts being made, or?
Yes.
Oh, wow.
See, that's the bad part now for newcomers to come on board. Where before, between LGB, USA Trains, Aristocrat, and Bachman, they were always fairly on top of stuff.
Wow. Yeah.
And because of, and then all of a sudden, just things happen.
That's crazy.
It's crazy is right. I mean, it's a shame that you want to get into a hobby that
And
it exists, but it don't exist.
Exactly.
You know, it just...
draw what you want to build in scale, and then try to figure out what it's going to cost to build it, and look at what you can do without having to eat peanut butter and jelly sandwiches for the rest of your life, and then scale it back, and you can always expand it later.
Yeah.
I can give you a short story on something, because every year they have a Garden Railroad convention.
Yeah.
And I've gone to most of them except for the last 5 years or whatever. But I went to Florida the year that they had. So a person in Florida that was on the layout tour dropped out. Another person that was within the club, he said he would take his spot. Well, in Florida, if you've been there, at their pools, most of them are screened in because of the So this house that the bus drove us to, next to the pool was a large building that this man constructed. And he had an architect that was building his railroad.
Oh, my God.
Okay, so, I mean, and I was new to this. And the rest of the layouts were really nice, except for this one person. And it was like, because when we hear from other people, and especially from the LGP from Germany, and his theory was, we're here to have fun. You know, and that's you're a little kid having fun with trains. And here this guy had money. Money was no object. I mean, the whole bottom shelf of how he was building had multiple trains.
Wow.
I mean, it was like, and when you see that as a new person, it's like, I can't afford this.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, it blows you out of the water.
Yeah.
You know, and but I kind of overlooked it because I figured all he's going to do is brag about how well he built it, and he didn't do a damn thing.
Yeah. Oh,
you know.
Yeah.
I mean,
just remember, it's your layout. Have fun. It's your rules. Don't pay attention to critics. Because there's guys out there who just like to run trains. They mix stuff. Then you got the nitpickers, you got the rivet counters. Run into them all the time. It's just, hey guys, it's my layout. If I want dinosaurs over here, I want my 1860 General there with the TGV running between them. By golly, that's what's going to happen. It's my layout.
Yeah, it is.
Get bit.
Now, you can laugh. There was a modeler well known in the HO scale. John, he was a fantastic modeler.
John Allen?
John Allen.
John Allen, yeah. Gordon defeated.
We're talking, the Gorian defeated railroad. He was a modeler. What models he made, scenery, was just unbelievable.
Wow.
But you know, a lot of his models weren't complete.
That's right.
Because he said, if you can't see it from a certain distance, don't do it. Let the eye fill it in.
But he said he got out there. People didn't believe it. You come up and look on his layout. In the yard, he had a Stegosaurus switching the cars.
I mean,
I saw the photo. There are times when he goes to another person's layout. If he happens to know the guy, watch out.
Wow.
He has been known to put ping pong balls inside tunnels. And train going through.
Oh no!
This is a well-respected modeler. But see, that's the idea. Now, I belong to the Chicago Area Garden Railway Society, CAGRs we call it. The you have the LGB club, and you got another one. Large scale mod. And it doesn't matter. I also we have a club we belong to that has modular layout. And we go to shows. Like the one you're talking about in Milwaukee, which hasn't been done in the last couple of years, Train Fest.
Yeah, that's the one. Yeah.
Well, we set up at Train Fest. But I also belong to the Kenosha Garden Railway Club. Oh my God. And they got so I don't have a big layout. I admit it.
I'm still waiting to see your layout someday, you know.
I
think hell will freeze over before I see that layout.
Gentlemen, I'm 17 years retired. I don't do domestics anymore.
But now we have a lot of new people. In fact, our new membership chairman, her and her husband are brand new to the club.
Oh wow! Yeah.
They've been with it for about a year.
No, they've been.
A couple of years.
It's now about 2 years.
Yeah,
almost 3.
Wow. And he's got a nice layout on it, and he did it how he wanted to show his expansion. Wow. And in his backyard, he's a great guy. He lives in Franklin Park.
Oh yeah, Franklin. Yeah. Wow.
Well, where do you live?
I'm by Midway, actually. Yeah. Speaking of overpasses, 63rd there in Harlem. 65th in Harlem. We're desperately in need of overpass. Or
well, I know the guy that works down there in the belt yard.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Harold. Yeah, my buddy Harold Kerman.
It's a real, like he said, it's your layout, whatever you want to do.
Yeah.
And how things go. It's just, it's my layout, and a lot of people are when they come from the street and up the gangway and start looking. Plus, I have a basement, and I've got stuff in the basement.
Yeah.
So when they see all that, they kind of like, wow.
You've been doing it for a while.
I've been doing it for a while. Yes, I've been doing it for a while. But I mean, it. With some people, it becomes like, you did all that, you know. Well, I've had help on some stuff.
Yeah.
There was a gentleman that used to live on 100th Street, a block or a block and a half west of Harlem. He has since left that location and moved out to Mokina. He had a loop literally, that included his vegetable garden. But the neatest thing about it was he never had to pick up his trains to put them away. He built a doggy door.
Nice.
And could just run his trains right into the garage. You don't want a layout that's so big you can mow half your backyard before it completes a loop.
Yeah. Oh,
Mike,
yeah.
welcome aboard.
Thank you,
Yes,
sir.
welcome.
Thank you, guys. Thank you so much. Thank you.
No, we'd like to, we really do thank you. And,
If you do come out,
we'd like
bring-
you to keep, hey, you're invited to join us.
Thank you. Thank you,
Because,
guys.
well, we keep losing people, so.
Wow, I don't understand. I mean, it's for me, it's always been an obsession with this. Everything started with the General. You know, I've always wanted to own a model of the General. Ever since that movie came out, now I own it on DVD. Buster Keaton, 1927.
That's right.
You know, and
The best comedy, top 5 comedies.
oh God, brilliant.
That.
Ryan will do an hour
One
and a half on the General.
There we go.
No,
time's up.
the one scene with the burning bridge,
Yeah.
locomotive going,
Oh.
that was the most expensive stunt done in Hollywood till 1936.
Seriously.
Yeah.
I heard it was expensive, but I did not know it was a record.
Well,
Wow.
they actually burnt that trestle down, didn't they?
Wow.
That and then they destroyed the locomotive.
Mm.
And the little sidebar. You ever see the movie called Emperor of the North?
I haven't, no.
Oh. Seriously deprived childhood.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
They filmed.
We're sorry about that.
They filmed the railroad they filmed it on.
What's the movie called again?
Emperor of the North. Lee Marvin, Ernest Borgnine.
Ooh.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
Gotcha.
You want to know Depression era?
Wow.
And the railroad that they filmed it on was the same railroad that Buster Keaton used for the General.
In Oregon?
Yeah.
I'll be damned. Oh, sorry.
That you're allowed to say that. That's not one of the 7 deadly words. But that's a different comedian.
Oh my goodness, that's something. Oh.
Somebody sent me an email.
He's talking now. We're
Sure,
gone.
give me 2 minutes.
Time's up.
The train wreck from The Fugitive,
Yeah.
they never recovered the engine or the school bus.
Yes, they did.
Then they have recreated the wreck because it's a tourist site now.
It is a tourist site on the short line that they filmed it on.
Yeah.
Yeah. I can give you the railroad if you want it.
I saved it on my computer at home. I should have printed it out and brought it with me. I'll try to remember
See,
next month.
I want to have the film. I don't have to just watch it on. No. I get the film.
That's cool.
I promise not to interrupt again tonight.
That's never stopped you before.
As our express train comes into the terminal, we want to thank you for joining us on our journey through the wonderful world of trains. Chicago Junction is a production of the Windy City Hometown Entertainment Network and can be listened to on the web at www.windycityhometown.com, where you can listen to tonight's broadcast and all of our past episodes. You can also sample some of the other fine programs that are being offered. Till next month when we journey to Chicago Junction, this is your announcer, Brian Blue, saying, Happy Rails to you. And good night, Mr. Ryan, wherever you are.
You have been listening to Chicago Junction on the Windy City Hometown Entertainment Network from the John DeVita Broadcast Center on Wednesday, January the 12th, the year 2022. Chicago Junction was produced and directed by John DeVita, and our special thanks to our executive producer of Windy City Hometown Entertainment Network, Mr. John Chiconda. This broadcast was pre-recorded on Wednesday, January the 12th, the year 2022. Until next time, friends, please be safe, and thanks for listening, and Happy New Year to all our listeners. And Mike, welcome to the group.